You're a sadist?
I'm a dominant.
What does that mean?
It means I want you to willingly surrender yourself to me.
Why would I do that?
To please me.
To please you? How?
I have rules. If you follow them, I'll reward you. If you don't, I'll punish you.
What would I get out of this?
Me.
I felt like tearing apart another shitty movie on Netflix, because the last one did, alright. People kept recommending The Kissing Booth, and if you were one of them, go f*** yourself, because I hated it. It's another one of these teen romance/drama movies in the vein of Sierra Burgess, and follows Ellie, who struggles to reconcile her growing feelings for Noah, who is the perfect heartthrob in every way, and if you don't believe it, you must be gay, with her lifelong friendship with his brother, Lee. If you've seen more than 2 films in this genre, then you've already seen this one, because it does very little that could be considered original, and lazy writing and cliches abound. Probably the film's biggest offence, though, are elements that kids these days might call problematic. It relies on some very outdated ideas about how relationships work, female agency, and the power of women to save violent bad boys from themselves. The sort of ideas you should not be encouraging in an audience of impressionable teenage girls. The drama centres entirely around the three-way between Ellie, Lee and Noah, and is only possible because Lee is a whiny, spiteful little bitch, Noah is a manipulative womanizer and borderline sociopath, and Ellie is a coward who becomes so enamoured with this hot stud that she thinks nothing of going behind her friend's back. Come to think of it, that actress looks familiar. No, it's okay, Chris. It's okay. Think happy thoughts. And finally, for a self-described comedy, it's not very funny.
No boobs are worth a broken nose.
My boobs are fantastic. Yes, some would even say breathtaking. Shit.
From all I've said so far, you can probably guess how I felt about The Kissing Booth. But I'm going to tell you anyway. The intro sequence shows Ellie and Lee growing up together, doing things like dancing, eating ice cream, and dressing up for Halloween. This is all fine because it helps to establish how close their friendship is, and a lot of this is referenced later. But they also throw in this thing about her mum dying, which, sad as it is pretty much pointless, since it's not shown to have any bearing on her relationship with Lee, and apart from a couple of minor references later in the film, has no impact on the plot whatsoever. I'm guessing that it's a lazy attempt to give her character some emotional depth, but this is not how you do that.
Ew, perv. Hey, Lee, guess what Warren texted the entire school? Geronimo! Oh no.
They missed the opportunity to make this film far shorter and far more entertaining. And we never find out what that guy texted the whole school. She leaves us in suspense, the little tease. In order to keep their friendship solid, they devised a set of rules, such as if your friend buys you ice cream, you have to forgive them, regardless of whether they borrowed your eyeliner or committed genocide. All this is fine to a certain extent, except one of these rules is no dating your friend's family members. I can understand not wanting to shit where you eat, but this rule is horrifically one-sided given that Ellie's brother is barely old enough to walk, and Lee has a sexy older brother called Noah. He's basically the Chad to Lee's incel. Ellie's had a crush on him since they were children, but so far she's managed to keep her pants on because she doesn't want to upset Lee. And as we find out later, that's the entire point of this rule.
When did you get the boobs?
Well, she did have the boobs back when she was 14, so I'm not sure how you've not noticed them before. While getting ready for school, her pants rip. She doesn't have any replacements, so she resorts to a short skirt. And at school, everyone becomes a lot more interested in her. Some douchebag gets really interested in her. Lee tries to stand up for her, which goes about as well as you'd expect. Before he can get his ass kicked, Noah steps in and goes into full Hulk mode. Outside the principal's office, Noah says,
I don't start fights, okay? I only finish them.
which later turns out to be total bullshit. And then he heavily implies that Ellie is deep in the friend zone, points out that she has no experience with guys, which is embarrassing and completely unnecessary, and even starts victim blaming. But at least he has the self-awareness to realise that that's not a good idea. And despite the fact that she was just sexually harassed, the principal still punishes Ellie for wearing a short skirt. Apparently it's not in the dress code. This same dress code is alright with ties hanging lower than an old man's balls, so I think we all know what's really going on here. Now, because this is a high school movie with no originality to it whatsoever, of course there's a triumvirate of hot popular girls, one of whom is ethnically diverse enough to fulfill someone's quota. This time they're called the OMG girls. Yeah. They say things like,
Give me your numerals. We should def catch up.
Gotta go, El. There's an emergency in the locker room.
and...
Was Gucci.
And they have a special talent which is sure to come in handy in their future career. This is as far as their characterization goes, by the way. I feel like whoever wrote this film has a few unresolved issues.
Was that Mia? Did she say anything about me? Did you tell her about my cute dimples? What does she smell like today? Sometimes she smells like apples, but other times it's kind of this like blueberry coconut fusion.
Alright, first of all, that's f***ing creepy. Second of all, you're telling me that this man is not gay? This man? Okay, I'll go with it. I'm just saying. They try to come up with a fundraising idea for the fall carnival. Lee's trying to make himself look sexy, if you can believe that, so he can make out with one of the OMGs. Ellie jokes that the only way that'd happen is if he paid for it, which is probably true, but it gives them an idea. In detention, the sexual harasser passes her a note and asks for her number. Before she'll give it out, she makes him do this. I mean, fair play to him, and I get that you're flattered, but you're still ignoring a few massive red flags, and Noah's not happy about it. The sexual harasser stands her up, and then later shows up, not having had the initiative to text her or anything, to explain that Noah threatened him into not going on their date.
And it's not just me. He's been going around telling all the guys not to ask you out for a while now.
That's just not okay. Wanting to protect your brother's friend from someone who assaulted her is one thing, but to act like a disgruntled daddy with a shotgun keeping the kids away is so condescending, and it undermines Ellie's autonomy, which she immediately recognizes and tells him to stop trying to control her life, instead of going, yeah, okay, sorry. Not only does he double down on the condescension, he's downright creepy about it.
It is not your job to monitor my dating life. Do you understand me? The days of you controlling my life are over.
We'll see about that.
Let me just check something real quick. This isn't a horror film? How is this not a horror film? I was actually going to edit together a horror trailer, but Netflix themselves beat me to it.
I think you're making a big mistake.
Just leave me alone.
We'll see about that.
You are driving me crazy.
Alright Netflix, you win this round. Ellie and Lee take their kissing booth proposal to the student council, and for some reason the head of this council is more English than I am.
Ella Evans and Lee Flynn.
You have an accent.
Everyone has an accent. You have an accent. You But she has the best line in the film,
I'm British, you wanker.
which I have every intention of stealing. The council approves the kissing booth after Ellie promises that Noah will be working on it, causing all the boys to lose their premature erections. Problem is, no one else wants to do it. That's the most realistic thing about this film, which is a high school movie, so obviously there's a party. The OMGs, gag every time I say it, want Ellie to ask Noah to staff the kissing booth, so she cockblocks him real hard, but he refuses to do the booth. Not that he gives a reason. The cock-blocking is the obvious one, but he doesn't say anything. But Ellie pretends that he said yes and gets wasted, starts dancing on the table and then takes off her dress. Unfortunately, she gets rescued before the movie can get more interesting.
I carried you out before too much came off.
Well, that's nice.
But I mean, this is exactly what I was talking about, Shelley.
And now it's creepy again. This happens, somehow.
Let me just reach down and... Oh my god, I just touched it!
Apparently it wasn't hard to miss. After shaming her for a bit, Lee informs her that while she was off her face, she told everyone that Noah and the OMGs would be doing the kissing booth. She solves this problem with more lies, telling the OMGs that Noah likes one of them and that he'll do the booth if they're there.
Thank you, guys.
Sure. You can call us bitches.
Thank you. Bitches? You're welcome.
Okay, no. At this point, I refuse to believe that this writer has ever been to a high school. Ellie and Lee have a play fight. She ends up looking like the result of a clown bukkake and stumbles into the boys' locker room. Noah gets involved, but instead of shielding her and telling the boys not to look at her, he tries to drag her out and says,
You need to leave. I told you before, stop messing around.
like the control freak that he is.
Now put your shirt on and get out.
So of course she does the complete opposite, and walks out like an absolute boss. At the carnival, Ellie tries to persuade Noah to do the kissing booth again, and again he says no and gives no reason. It's not like he has a problem making out with random girls, so my only conclusion is that he's being a spiteful prick. But the booth is a massive hit, as this very fap-worthy montage attests.
We are killing it. Yeah. But we do have one problem. The girls are asking for Flynn, and I have a solution.
And the solution is him, but understandably, they're having none of it.
The only reason I ever talked to that dork was to make sure I could get his brother to come to the booth tonight.
Popular girl turns out to be a what a surprise. But then out of pity, this girl offers herself up as tribute. Who is this person?
I hope you like what you see.
Seriously, who the are you? We have not seen you before. And then they go off and become a thing. This would make sense if she had been set up to be his secret admirer or something, but this comes completely out of nowhere. And then he f***s off with her and leaves Ellie to take care of the booth by herself. I guess abandonment isn't covered by your stupid friendship rules.
Ew! Imagine having to kiss that.
Who wants to break it to her? Anyone? They lie to Ellie and push her on stage instead. But Noah has come as a customer. The cheeky c***. The nerdy guy switches places with him because he's feeling nervous. But why though? He went up earlier and he had a great time, so why would he be nervous now?
Because the pitch demands it.
To stop her making an idiot out of herself, he makes his move. But she takes the blindfold off and they f***ing go for it. Naturally, the signs explode, even though they didn't do that before. I think it might be a subtle metaphor for something. You know, maybe sparks flying, and then she remembers the rules. So she's all like, yeah, by the way, I made out with your brother.
What?
It's for charity, right?
Yeah. I guess so.
What do you mean, yeah, I guess so? It was for charity, and it's a kissing booth. That's what happens at kissing booths. And if you hadn't f***ed off to play hooky with random girl, this might not have happened.
Just don't end up grinding coochies with my brother, or I'll literally never talk to you again. That and rule number 9, of course.
Of course. Right.
Look at the absolute pain on this boy's face. Are you starting to get the picture now? Ellie runs home, as it was conveniently established that she does. Conveniently, there's a storm coming. Conveniently, Noah shows up on his bike. Conveniently, the road gets so dangerous that he needs to pull over. And there's a convenient glass house nearby for them to take shelter. All this convenience excites her, and she gives in to her throbbing biological urges. Kissing in the rain. That's how you revitalize the romance genre.
I cannot just be another one of your conquests.
Is that what you think of me?
Well, those are the vibes you've been giving off for the entire movie.
You are the only girl who doesn't fall at my feet. And it is driving me crazy.
Look, I don't know what all this means. I just like hanging out with you. It feels right.
See, that's exactly the sort of thing a player would say. Then security shows up.
Is that you, Flynn? I thought I told you not to bring girls around here anymore.
And she's not impressed at all, but she can't stop thinking about him, even drawing up a list of pros and cons, which is quite extensive. I'm surprised she didn't mention that little detail. There's a scene where everyone's partying on the beach and it's completely pointless. Maybe it's in there to keep the kiddies happy, I don't know. But later that night, sexual harasser number 2 tries to drag Ellie into the hot tub and doesn't really care what she wants, so Noah steps in again. She talks him down like Betty talking down the Incredible Hulk, but this guy doesn't know when to shut the f*** up, so Hulk smash. Quite literally in this case, because the guy is pretty badly hurt.
Al! Just get in the car, Al. Just get in the car, Al. Get in the car, Al!
Holy f***. Run away. Now.
Please.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay, guys. It's okay. He said please! He said please! He never faces the consequences for f***ing that guy up, and she completely ignores it. He takes her to the Hollywood sign, which I'm pretty sure you can't do anymore, feeds her a bunch of cheesy and manipulative lines, and then they have sex. But like the feminist role model that she is, she sets down some rules of entry. No more fighting, and no more bossing her around. Which are both fine, but also no telling anyone until she's found the right way to tell Lee. Which would also be fine if they didn't go for months without telling him.
We're supposed to be in a logistics meeting right now, okay? We're trying to figure out how not to get caught.
You know the best way to not get caught? Fucking tell him. She even hides under Noah's bed to avoid his mum, coming across some of his petroleum jelly, which completely shattered my immersion on account of it being too full. In an incredible example of how to do subtle writing, out of nowhere his mum just states that he got accepted into an Ivy League school.
Which school?
Harvard?
Oh, of course it's Harvard, because he's the perfect man. But really? Sure, he plays sports, but the most intelligent thing we've seen him do so far is read a book. At least Sierra Burgess's song showed some talent and emotional depth. What does he have that would warrant entry into one of the top-ranked universities in the world? Dreamy eyes. Anyway, they f*** around for what must be months, still not telling Lee, while doing a terrible job at keeping their relationship a secret while in public. They even derive some sick pleasure from going behind Lee's back.
I thought I heard moaning.
I was watching porn.
Oh. Can I watch? Can I watch?
I could spend the next hour describing everything that's wrong with what you just said, but I think it's best to just move on. They have sex in a classroom, but when she realises there's a camera in there, she creates a makeshift smoke bomb in order to get sent to the principal's office so she can grab the security tape. Why would she assume the tapes would be in the open? And why were they left in the open? How on earth did she think that plan would work? Ugh, whatever.
You've been, acting really weird recently.
Says the guy who said, "Can I watch porn with you?"
Stop lying to your best friend. It's time.
Yes.
Hey guys.
Hey, you made it.
Sorry, traffic was crazy. Hey. Hey.
You can still tell him. Her being there doesn't change that, and it might make the situation less tense. Ellie injures herself, and while Noah patches her up, they talk about his anger issues.
I guess it's kind of just how I'm wired.
I don't believe that.
I mean, my parents even sent me to see a couple of counselors. But, you know, we're all fucked up one way or another, right?
You could change.
You think I can change?
You're Noah Flynn. I don't think there's much you can't do.
So basically, he's angry, but if he meets the right woman, he'll change. But she only believes he can change because he's Noah Flynn. Just because he's dashingly handsome and awesome and perfect in every way does not mean he'll suddenly stop being violent. As he admitted, counselling and therapy didn't help, but surely the love of a good woman will tame the savage beast. This is not a good message to be conveying to your target audience. Then Lee walks in on them and immediately accuses Noah of hitting her. His reaction to being accused of getting violent is to get violent. And once again, the only thing that stops the violence is Ellie playing beauty to the beast. Lee gives her the perfect opportunity to explain what's going on, and if she still denies it at this point, she's a terrible person. So obviously she denies it. And like a f***ing idiot, she goes back upstairs and ends up making out with Noah, completely forgetting that Lee is still in the house. Oh wait, there he is.
You were never meant to find out this way.
Seems like I was never meant to find out at all, doesn't it, Elle?
Yeah, it does look like that, doesn't it? She told Noah to stay upstairs, which is a very good idea, all things considered. But then 20 seconds later, he comes downstairs. The argument that ensues is a complete mess. Everyone is partly in the right and partly in the wrong. I have no idea who I'm supposed to sympathise with, if anyone. Lee is massively overreacting and shouldn't have insisted on that stupid no relatives rule in the first place. Ellie should have told him straight away and not gone behind his back for months. And Noah should have trusted her to handle it, but he's incapable of being more than a manipulative, overbearing meat sack. All this drama because two men are trying to control a woman in their life and call it protection. Lee storms off and we finally find out what all the fuss is really about.
My whole life, Noah has gotten everything that he has ever wanted. The only thing had that he didn't was you.
And there we have it. He's been controlling and manipulating his childhood friend because he's a jealous, spiteful, pathetic douche. Am I supposed to feel bad for him? Ellie gets angry at Noah for coming downstairs and making the situation so much worse. He refuses to accept responsibility and storms off as well, leaving her alone at their house. And everyone is sad. Then they remember this is supposed to be funny, so they force in a joke that's so out of sync with the tone of the scene surrounding it that it's really jarring. Ellie tries to use ice cream to win back Lee's forgiveness. Remember that rule? But no, he's still a douche. But dancing works, somehow, and then they're all good. Like nothing happened at all. No conversation or apology, anything. I think there's still a few issues that need resolving. Never mind that, it's time for prom. And the theme is memories, so they've put up a bunch of pictures taken during that school year, for which I'm pretty sure consent was not given. Yeah, but who cares about consent, am I right? They've even recreated the kissing booth. Must have been a slow year. Just when Ellie is starting to feel good about herself again, Noah shows up and tells her that he loves her, and because she still hasn't had that talk with Lee, who's still being a douche, she runs away. So Noah apologises to Lee, insists that his feelings for Ellie are genuine, and tells him he's leaving for Boston the next day. And Lee still doesn't give his approval, but Ellie misses Noah so much that she finally tells Lee to stop being such a controlling arsehole, that the friendship rules they made are outdated and stupid, and that if he has a problem with her being with Noah, he can f*** off. And he finally accepts that whether or not Noah is right for her, it's her decision to make. She rushes to the airport to catch Noah, but they've pulled the old switcheroo and she nearly crashes the car. That was some great timing, mate. At least they didn't have a rushing through the airport scene. Given how cliched the rest of the film is, I'm actually somewhat surprised. They profess their love for each other and go back to the glass house to make out, while the guard forgets about his duty and goes off for a quick wank. Eventually, he leaves for Boston, she bikes off into the sunset, and we await the much anticipated sequel, Tearful Phone Call After a Frat Party. And that's The Kissing Booth. Overly long, melodramatic, uninteresting, unoriginal, and frankly, a bit unsettling. But there are two good things to come out of this. This extra scene in the credits, and a very valuable life lesson.
No boobs are worth a broken nose.
Thanks for watching. This was long overdue, and I hope you enjoyed it. One quick announcement. I've now set up a second channel just for my live streams. With few exceptions, from now on, all streams will be saved to that channel. Even if you don't watch the streams, do subscribe to that channel anyway. I'm using it as a backup in case anything happens to my main channel. Thanks again, folks. I think it's time for a rant. I haven't done one for a while, and this shit's important. So yeah, until then.